Okay, we're live. Awesome. Hello, my name is Rachel Detroit with Rachel Detroit Coaching, and I'm live here with Mr. Chef James. We are going to be making some dessert. We're both contributors to the Vegan Health Bundle. Chef James, what do you got going on your side?
Well, earlier I was on with Amanda Sick, and she has that beautiful cookbook of desserts, healthy desserts with no terrible sweeteners in them at all. That is part of this incredible vegan health bundle that we're promoting here. And I was actually going to be making a carrot cake today because someone that is on the same property and shares this communal kitchen with me had a friend who was celebrating a birthday, and she was doing a live Zoom where they were eating carrot cake. And she's like, I want some carrot cake. And I said, well, I can make a carrot cake. So, and it just was
Perfect.
random. And so I had all the ingredients out. I actually fermented the cashew cheese overnight with a probiotic in it, which is the way I make my cream
Oh,
cheese
wow.
for the top of it. So I had this all going on anyway. And I was going to pull out my old raw carrot cake recipe. And then I was going through Amanda's beautiful book, and she has one. I thought, oh, I'm going to make yours. So I'm doing Amanda Sick's raw carrot cake recipe just because it's in the bundle, and I like to help promote people that are in the bundle. And so I'm going
Perfect.
to do that. It's a very quick, easy recipe. I'm putting it in little muffin these tiny little muffin cups that pop out, and you have these tiny little servings of it once it's finished. I like doing it that way. I'm a caterer, so I think of that quick, easy ways to make it for a lot of people. you know.
Yeah, I
So
love that. Isn't her ebook gluten-free, 100% gluten-free as
gluten
well?
free and processed sugar free. Yes, all gluten
Right,
free.
perfect.
It's really
Yeah,
great. I think it's one of the star books in the whole thing. I just love it. I love it. Looking through it's really,
yeah, I love it too. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
yeah,
I'm like,
definitely.
so as Chef James was saying, we're both a part of the Vegan Health Bundle, and you can check out the link in both of our bios if you'd like to purchase it. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, yours isn't connected, but mine is. The link is in the show notes. And check out both of our bios so that you can get your hands on it. It's on for less than 48 hours.
Yep. Well worth your while. But you only have till the end of tomorrow, the end of Sunday. It all goes back to normal retail price.
It goes back to normal retail price.
And my class alone that's in there is worth $295 if you bought it Monday, but you get it for $49 if you get it this weekend. So
What's your class?
that is the Vibrant Vegan for every season. And you get to
Vibrant vegan.
see me go live 8 times in the next year, 2 in each season. The spring, the first one's on March 21st, starting in the spring. And then there's summer, fall, and winter. So all the way until the bundle next year, I'll be doing lives. I'll probably have the last class right before the next bundle starts.
Awesome. I
And
love it.
so people get a
Very
chance to
cool.
see the dirt to plate local concept I have of using fresh produce to create gourmet vegan food year round, and it changes around the year. So it's fun to follow someone through all the seasons and do different things that have to do with the season and the holidays. Seasonal is, in the spring it's more Easter kind of things, this time of year, and in the deep in the winter it's going to be more holiday things, that kind of stuff. So it's just fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. Whole delicious ingredients to make vegan deliciousness.
Yep.
I'm into it. So that's cool. That's a super cool offering in the bundle.
Yeah.
What I have going on here is, and I'm making something from my own contribution. So I contributed 6 different ebooks, and they're all based around this idea of super simple. So, in order to sustain healthiness, whether you're full out vegan or whether you just want to incorporate more vegetables, whatever, in order to sustain it, finding super simple recipes is really the way to go. And so what I'm gonna make here on camera is from my super simple raw is these vegan raw brownies.
Nice. I love
So
it. So we're
I'm
both doing
gonna
raw vegan recipes in desserts. That's awesome.
yep, yep. All right, I'm gonna run through some of this. It's super quick. And then I'm going to run through what I'm about to do with these, and then I'll pass it on, and then you can show us what you're up to.
Okay.
Does that sound cool?
Yep.
All right, cool. So far in here, I have 3 cups. I used walnuts. The recipe calls for pecans. You can really use whatever you like. What's your favorite nut?
Pecans, actually, if you're talking about the flavor and butteriness and richness that they bring
Yes.
in a dessert or crust or anything, I love pecans. But I also appreciate walnuts because walnuts have the perfect omega 369 ratio, and you can eat them every day. So you can eat more of those more often.
Oh, sorry.
Walnuts, you can eat every day. Pecans have a much higher 6, so they're a little out of balance to be like munching on constantly. But they're fun to use in a good recipe, and they're delicious. So, yeah. And I'm going to be using pecans as well. The recipe in the book that I'm doing had called for walnuts, but I'm going to choose pecans because that happens to be what I have available. And they're kind of interchangeable in these kind of recipes, for sure. In fact, I need to grab those out of the pantry real quick.
Yeah, I'd love that you said because that's what you have available. And that's the thing, too, with a lot of the recipes in the bundle is like you can, ooh, how come this won't come undone? You can like mix and match. Like you don't, if it says pecans, like this recipe that I made says pecans. I don't have pecans because I on purpose bought walnuts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just use walnuts.
Great. It'll work really well.
All right, so you grind up the walnuts or the nuts, whatever your nut of choice is, until it's pretty coarse. So we got that. It's pretty coarse in my food processor here. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of dates, and these have been soaked in warm water. So I'm going to add 1 cup of dates. This recipe is in super simple vegan raw in the vegan bundle. So if you haven't picked it up yet, the link is in both of our bios. Check it out. All right, 1/2 cup of cacao, raw cacao. Put that in here.
You know, I think that walnuts pair better with chocolate anyway. You know, when you talk about which nuts pair with different flavors, with cacao, walnuts are the ones of choice. So
Okay, cool.
Perfect choice what you're making there.
Thank you. I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Oops. There goes my cap. All right. Yeah, so this has been super cool, just going live, cooking all of this awesomeness. It says, or listen, it says, like as if I'm not the one who created it, a pinch of salt. Why do you think, so I know you have chef training. Why do we always add a pinch of salt with the chocolate? I'm going to do cinnamon too, even though it's not in the recipe. I just love it.
Salt is really not a spice or an herb. It's more of an activator, if you think about it that way. If you anyone has sprinkled some salt on chocolate and eaten it, it just takes it to a different level. So salt wakes up the flavor of nuts. It wakes up the flavor of chocolate. It wakes up the flavor of everything. So it's an activator. And that's why people do like to put it in desserts. And people think, why is there salt in a dessert? Well, because it brings the flavors alive. It gives them aliveness, but you can't overuse it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of using too much salt, but just a pinch in some chocolate can really bump up the flavor. And some people are SOS, where there's salt, oil, sugar free, and they can just skip the salt. It's not going to make it terrible in a dessert. It just won't have quite that activated flavor if you didn't.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat. Let me ask it. I'm going to ask it to you. Tell me what you think, because I have no idea. So you probably will. It says, could you use equal measures of carob powder instead of cacao powder?
Yes. Yes. And there's different carob powders out there. Find one you like. There's some that are more buttery, caramely kind of carob, and then some are a little more bitter. And if they have more of a bitter edge to them, you might want to adjust your sweetener a little bit. But I love carob. It's a great thing to switch it up. And I guarantee you that the recipe she's making, because I do a very similar raw recipe to this one, is a clean switch out with the same amount of carob for the cacao, and it works beautifully. In fact, we would make both at the Culinary Institute at Living Light because some people didn't like cacao that were coming through, and I wanted them to be able to try the bars, whether they were a cacao or a carob person. So yes.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to blend this up. So I have a cup of dates, soaked dates. I have 3 cups of walnuts. I have a half cup of cacao, and you can switch it up, as Chef James said, with carob powder. I put some vanilla extract and a little pinch of salt, and I added cinnamon, and I'm going to blend it. So it's going to be loud. Bear with me. So, and I want this to form a soft dough. So I'm going to let it run. It's almost there till it is a nice soft dough. And then I'm going to show you guys what I got. All right, beautiful. Yeah, so anyone, if you have questions, Chef James is a wealth of knowledge. So throw them out there. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I got going on.
Oh yeah, that looks great.
We got another question, Chef. I'm going to ask you it.
Okay.
Could a pinch of go miso act like salt?
Go miso. Well, miso can, and my program, for my entire chef program, I have been actually converting a lot of, and my go-to is chickpea light miso because salt is a light colored kind of thing, and there's some things where you don't want to be putting a dark miso that brings all that heavy umami flavor to something that's a lighter soup or something. But just remember that great watch out for processed salt, and a healthier way to bring sodium into your body and have more probiotics for your gut is to use miso as a sweet, or as your salt in your dish, and you're not putting it in to hold on. If it is something you're going to bake or whatever, don't worry about the fact that I know it's going to get it to a temperature where you're not going to have as much of the probiotics left, because miso is heat sensitive to hold on to the probiotics. But what it is a healthier switch out for processed salt. For people who have to have a low salt diet, miso is a much safer way to bring a touch of salt into a dish. So play around with like a Chico, like Miso Masters chickpea miso, if you want to have it be soy free. Or you can do a light soy miso as well, but make sure that it's GMO free, of course, and organic if you are going to be using soy miso. But miso does work as a great way to switch out. It is a much healthier choice than table salt or real salt or Himalayan salt, any of those. So yes, you can.
Perfect. And it was a typo. It wasn't go miso. It was pinch of miso. And then I just read the typo.
Yep.
And then someone else dropped something. I'm just going to keep reading the comments as they come through. Okay. Someone says, I use Brazil nuts in place of walnuts because of a peanut allergy. No, not because of a peanut allergy. I made the peanut part up because of an allergy.
Yeah, and that's great. She or he, they're getting their selenium for sure. I eat at least 3, about every other day. I grab 2 or 3 Brazil nuts because it's probably the best source of selenium you can have. You do have to be careful using too much of them in a recipe, but in a recipe like that, there's probably not a lot of them in there. But if you're using them too often, you actually can get in danger of getting too much selenium, believe it or not. So Brazil nuts aren't one of these that you could eat a ton of them often, or you could actually get in danger of getting too much selenium. So, but they're a great choice. They're very buttery, very rich, have a lot of natural fat in them, and as do walnuts and pecans when they break down in a recipe like what we're making. And so they can play that similar role that in bringing the oils out and bonding everything together.
So I'm gonna come clean. I'm gonna come clean. So you guys, Chef James, let me know that agave syrup is kind of like very terrible, and I have been, and I have been not using maple syrup or any type of sweetener, and agave was cheaper. So I was at the store and I bought it. And then Chef James let me know it's just not the one to pick. So
Yeah.
I've decided to make a quick switch. Tell me what you think about this. I'm going to use dates instead of a syrup, like a syrup in this frosting, if you will. Do you think I can just add a little bit of water?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I'm not trying to use that
And you'll
poison.
be fine. Yes. And I will go into what I was explaining to you earlier. I found out back when I was running the Culinary Institute, and it took us a while, but we got it out of the entire program, that agave, while it is a low glycemic, it has a, and that's why everyone was so in love with it in the beginning, very low glycemic sweetener as far as the spike for the sugar high, and it was safe for diabetics, things like that. But it has a dark side. It is processed the same way they make high fructose corn syrup, and it's a chemical process. It's not just, you can't eat agave the way it comes out of what looks like an aloe plant. And it is very bitter, and they put it through a series of chemical processes to get this sweetener extracted from that other bitter stuff. And in the process of those chemical reactions, it becomes an end product that is processed by your liver, not by your stomach and your intestines. And that process there puts on the fat that is the hardest to get rid of in your body. So if you want to make the choice of agave, you might as well be putting high fructose corn syrup on there. As far
So
as how it plays out in the body, in the fat that it can put on your body. Yes, it's low glycemic, but it has a darker side. And when we weighed all that, I took it out completely from my curriculum at Living Light, and it is not a part of my current academy either. I think it's not a safe choice. If you are looking at food as optimal nutrition and food as medicine, it's a highly, highly processed product.
so he ruined it for me, just so everybody knows.
Yeah,
But the truth is, I didn't really want it anyways. I was just being a cheapskate.
yeah.
And that's probably why it's a lot cheaper. I was like, oh, agave or maple syrup, I don't really eat either of them. So I'm just going to
Yeah,
go. I didn't know that info about agave. Oh, we
yeah.
have a question for you, Chef James.
Okay.
It says, is Chef James' classes live? And will you be able to rewatch them?
The classes in my Vibrant Vegan for Every Season will be immediately posted to the website in the slot that you see for each one of them through the 8 throughout the year. Because I teach around the world, I have 3,000 students already in my academy, and they are from everywhere from Iceland to South Africa to Brazil to Australia. It's never one time where we can match time zones to do a live and have everyone make it to the live. And so because of that, I always record them in Zoom, and they are immediately put up onto my website, and that's where people can all have access to them ongoing and rewatch them as many times as they want. And of course, have all the PDFs for the recipe. It does take me 2 or 3 days sometimes because these are spontaneous. This class I have coming up is not a pre-written recipe. This is just shooting from the hip and you getting to see the process of a chef's brain at work to make magic out of what came in the CSA box or when you come back from the farmer's market and create ethnic foods with it. So I will via email. So people need to make sure, because when they sign into my website, it gives them the option to not have email sent to them. You have to have an email to as a password to get into the website, but some people turn that off as far as they don't want to get any notifications. Well, you're not going to get a notification about when the live Zoom is if you want to take a chance to tap in and be a part of the live class if you didn't allow email notifications in my site. Everyone that it does allow them will be notified, and I can take 100 in the class. I think that's the cap I have in Zoom, and so whoever gets in there will get in there, but they're immediately posted right after that. I mean, the video will come up right away. So whether they get in the live or not, even within a day, they're going to see the whole thing anyway. And that's the way that works. And it will go that way all through the year.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah. And on the subject of agave, a great trade out, because people may have other vegan cookbooks that have agave in there, because it was popular for a while. It is far less
It was
popular.
popular for it
It
was
was
like the
really big
thing.
in the 90s, but you've seen it fall away because people have realized this issue with it putting on the kind of fat that's the hardest to get rid of because it's processed by the liver. And so if you have older cookbooks that have it in them, switch them out with just a light amber maple syrup. That's your best switch out that I can tell you about for that. Don't do the heavier maple syrup, especially if it's a lighter frosting or something, but a light amber maple syrup is a great switch out. Or one of my favorites, if you want to go down this little rabbit hole and actually have it out because I'm going to use it in the frosting, is called Divine Organics Coconut Blossom Paste. Okay. And this is only available from this company, Divine Organics. And it's a wonderful product. And this is taken from the blossom of the coconut. And it is a white, sweet paste that is divine. It is fun to use. It's hard to explain the texture of it. It's kind of like miso or something. Here's the little block I had of it left in there. But it is like a paste, and you can whisk it into things. And it is just a concentrated paste that comes out. It's what they make, the syrup that's like a coconut syrup, that's the darker syrup, is this cooked down. Like when they cook down cane sugar and it becomes molasses, that coconut syrup is this, and when it's cooked down, but this is the raw form. And it's wonderful, subtle, beautiful, low glycemic, a really great choice for switching out something like agave as well. So remember that Divine Organics is the place you get this from. And you can just go to their website. I'm sure it's just divineorganics.com. Yeah, it
I
is.
love that it's divine.
Yeah. And
They have me sold on that one.
yeah, they do a lot of things that people in the raw food world have been using for a long time. But that's another great choice for people that want to have a healthy sweetener and not use agave. So
And not use agave. So what I
yeah.
ended up doing is I didn't soak the dates that I put in this quote unquote frosting. So
Mm-hmm.
they're still chunky. And what happened is, I'll show it to you guys, is that they're still chunky and they're just covered in my avocado. So I'm just gonna let the frosting be unsweetened. And I'm gonna, because it's the brownie, but you might want to put, I'm just gonna let it be unsweetened and take out my big old dates. But
Oh,
you might want to use maple syrup.
yeah, I didn't
I just
realize it was
didn't have it.
frost. I thought you were putting them in the base.
They are in the base. That's why the frosting
Right.
doesn't really need it. It's just
Right.
like a big sugar.
Okay.
So this dessert is definitely a dessert that you don't want to like eat as a snack. I
Yeah.
would bring it as a dessert to like share with a bunch of people. It's definitely not something, I mean, I'm going to give it to the neighbor like immediately. I'm going to be like, hi, I made you these brownies. Um, because
Great.
that's the thing. It's like we think, oh, because it's plant-based, it's whole food, plant-based, oil-free, which is like the cream of the crop of, healthy living. But if dessert is dessert,
Yeah.
so
Awesome.
it can be, it's not, don't overdo it on the dessert. And this stuff's addicting because it's just like sugar dates.
Yeah, dates are sweet.
Dates are
Definitely.
sweet.
I've been sitting here opening up some while we're talking. I have my jewels here, and I always like to point out to everyone to make sure you open them up and inspect them, because you're going to run in, when you buy organic dates, to black mold and or insect eggs in them. So just throw those in the compost when you find them.
You're
That's
literally ruining my life here, Chef James. I didn't check my dates at all.
you would have noticed when you open. Wait, I mean, you had to take the pits out, right?
No, it came pitted. I'm
Oh,
like a high maintenance millennial. It was already ready for me.
yeah. If you bought them pitted, I actually still open them up and inspect them. because I have found mold even in the pitted ones. So yeah, it's always just good to inspect them. I used to pop whole dates in my mouth and then spit out the pit. And I never do that anymore because every now and then I used to go, ooh, that one tasted funny. And now I know it was because it had black mold inside of it, which is gross. So don't do that. Don't pop them in your mouth. Always open your dates and inspect them before you put them in your mouth. And by the way, that black mold and the insect eggs that could be in there is a good thing. That means they were not filled with pesticides and fungicides when they were grown. So this is just part of what we have to deal with in buying organic. But I would rather inspect them and know that I could occasionally find some black mold than to buy ones that are not organic.
Someone wrote a comment. You got the people all concerned over here. They said, wait, can you talk? I'm so dramatic. Can you talk some more about the dates and the black mold and ...
And what? That's what it is. You open your dates and look. If they have mold, don't use them. Throw that one out and wash your knife off and keep going. I had one of them was a black mold, so I had a perfect example the other day when I was on a live. I opened one up and was like, oh, and here we have it. And I haven't seen one in a while.
Oh, I was watching that live of yours. That was like this last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember what I was making, but I did have a black mold date. It happens, but it's you can go through 2 cases and not see it, and then have one case that had 3 in it. So you never know,
So Chef James is just on here serving all this detail. No more agave. Check your dates. Don't mess around. Someone left in the comments, I've already signed up for both your class and Rachel's class. So if you're just tuning in, Chef James has a course that you can sign up for, and I have a class that you can sign up for too, and they come in the vegan health bundle. So if you haven't bought your bundle, links are in both of our bios on Instagram. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, it's in the show notes. My course is a Lebanese vegan course. Well, of course, everything's vegan, but Lebanese, and a lot of the recipes are from my mom. And it's going to be fun. It'll be like a 2-hour, it's not a series of courses. It's just a day of cooking and hanging out with me and cooking Lebanese food. Ooh, we have another question.
Love that. Awesome.
Yeah, sign up, Mr. James.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Oh. Someone said, I looked up the divine coconut paste. It says 0 for fat. Can that really be true? I'm going to talk about this, and then you can share what you think.
Yeah.
This is my brain says, that perhaps 1, it's either defatted. 2, it's such a small serving size that there's no fat in the serving. What do you think?
It doesn't come from the coconut meat itself. So yes, it is fat-free. They are correct. You're talking about the syrup that comes, it's created out of the blossom at the top of the coconut tree, the blossoms on the coconut tree. So it's out of the sap, basically, of the coconut. So it's a very different thing from the coconut, because desiccated coconut, like I'm going to be putting in this carrot cake I'm making, dried coconut and or coconut meat, young Thai coconut, has a certain amount of fat in it, of course. It definitely does. A natural fat, but it does. And this is different. It's from a different part of the coconut. So it's from the syrup, from the blossom. And so that's why they have the 0 fat on there. So that's that. What I'm making is carrot cake. Ooh, yours looks great. I want a bite. That looks yummy.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, so this is what I came up with, and then we'll see yours. This right here, pure dates, nuts. It's a fatty, sugary dessert that is probably going to make you want to eat more than 1 piece. I'm going to pop it in the freezer, and then by the end of our cooking, I'll cut a piece up. So if you want to show us what you got going on.
Okay. I'm going to turn my camera down so you're not going to see my face. You'll just see my hands and me talking. So you can see what I'm doing here.
I'm going to make you bigger. Let me make you bigger so that everybody can see what you're doing. And all right, there we go.
Okay. Oh, I could come up a little bit then and occasionally come down in here. No, maybe I will go back down so you can see what's on my board here. All right. So in the Cuisinart already, I have the shredded carrots that I shredded on a box grater, right? Then I also added a little bit of apple in here. This is a raw carrot cake. This is how easy, quick and easy a raw carrot cake can be. You also see in here that I have some pecans and walnuts. I actually did a little bit of both because I was low on walnuts, so I added some pecans to make up for what I didn't have in walnuts. And then I'm going to put just a splash of maple syrup in here. And I think that her recipe asked for date syrup, which would work as well. But mine is thick, and I'm almost out of the date syrup that I had, and I didn't have enough in there, so I just did a splash of maple syrup. It really doesn't need much because carrots are so sweet. And then something that I'm going to change up from Amanda Sick's recipe from the cookbook inside the bundle is I'm going to add in this in dried form. I dry my coconut, okay, in the dehydrator, and so I have a stash of dried coconut, and that's what I have here on the board. I'm going to put that in there. This actually really is wonderful. And
you said coconut, and then you showed us a pineapple.
I meant pineapple. It's
okay.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the bowl of coconut here on the table too. The pineapple is a sharper sweet. You know, it's that lemony sharp sweet. And when you're biting into this carrot cake, I found that you get these layers of flavor. And it was actually Sherry Soria that suggested that one, the Queen of Raw, that was, you know, the one that started the school where I was a lead instructor and director, to put dried pineapple in there. I really like it. I think it's a great flavor enhancer there. Then we have the shredded coconut, and this could be coconut flakes or shredded coconut. Either one can go in there, and that will thicken it up and give it that kind of cakey texture. And then, of course, medjool dates that I've been sitting here pitting while we're talking. Got all the pits out, inspected them. There's no black mold in there. There's no insect seed.
No black mold. They're approved.
Got the shredded apple that I'm going to put in there. And then our flavorings, of course, to make this kind of like apple spice kind of flavor. Some cinnamon in there. I'm doing a chef's measurement here. You can follow the recipe when you do it from the cookbook. Some ground ginger, always nice in something like this. Always an apple spice or pumpkin spice kind of blends. And some nutmeg. Don't get too carried away with the nutmeg. I actually like to do a scraping of a whole nutmeg as well, but put just a pinch of nutmeg. It can get out of control. Let it complement those other flavors, but not become the star of the show. It's a drama queen. I like to take over everything. And I like to put a little bit of lemon juice in there too, just for good measure. That and the pineapple will counter all that sweetness that the carrots naturally have. And then we'll just blend all this together. And you don't want to go too far, but you want to go just, oh, that looks great. Just far enough that everything is broken down in here. So you can see that I've got a nice texture. I'm going to go a little bit further just to get the dates broken down a little bit more. And then we'll be ready to press it into the pan of choice. And I'll show you what I'm going to choose to go into today. I'm getting a spatula so I can take it and knock it down back into there. Let's process it just a little bit more. Nice. Okay. Now you could just go into a loaf pan or in any kind of pan that you want with this. If you are going into a loaf type of pan, I would prefer a springform pan, the ones that have the clip sidewalls that pop off, because that's the easiest thing to do is pop the sidewalls off your springform pan. You can look that up online. It makes it easy to serve this and it looks beautiful. Or you can go into little muffin tins like this. These are pop-up ones. They have this little bottom that comes up and out when you pop up with your finger. So you can easily pop the finished desserts up and out of these really easily once they're done. And so I'm just going to take that and use a spoon and place my carrot cake down in here in each one of these and press it down in, and you can then frost them. So then I'll talk about the frosting that I'm going to put on here. And of course, it's classic to have a cream cheese frosting. on a carrot cake. And I am making one that is vegan, of course. And I like to get probiotics in there wherever I can, whenever I can. And so I made a probiotic rich, I won't fill all of these, just a few so you can get the idea. But
I want you to talk a bit about that, and I'm sure you will, but I just want to make sure in case you don't, I really do want you to share a little bit more about that probiotic,
yeah,
what you do around that.
I'm going to for sure.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
grab the one out of the freezer that I put in the cream cheese. And I love teaching how to, I do all kinds of fermentations on cheese, advanced vegan cheese kind of making. And a lot of times probiotics are, there's always a culture put in, in any vegan cheese. And in this case, I'm choosing something similar to an acidophilus or a bifidus. These probiotics that you would buy for your gut that have like billions in the little pills, and you buy the ones where the capsule pulls apart and you can dump the powder out in the probiotic. Or you can buy them in bulk, and I'll show you a company that does that. See, I've filled these up, and they're just ready to receive the cream cheese frosting on the top. We have a few steps left on this very thick cashew cream here. You can see how thick that is. So that's a perfect consistency. And let me grab out of the freezer my little bottle of Ejuva Malphora is what this is called. The company is EJUVA. If you want to buy probiotic in bulk, you can buy that. And it's a white powder. And I put a 1/4 teaspoon into, whoops, I got a piece of apple in there. Let me pull that out. Into my cashew cream last night before I went to bed. And then I left this with a towel over it at room temperature overnight. And what that does is the cashews continue to thicken up. So it's always great to make a cashew frosting the night before because it's always thicker the next day. But because it was at room temperature, it activated the probiotics. So now this is easier to digest on the gut. You've added probiotics to it. And what the probiotics are doing when they're getting in there and eating the natural fats in the cashews is they get a tang to them. So you get something that tastes, and the longer you wait, the more tangier it gets. If you want a tangier cream cheese, start the morning of the day before. So you get almost 2 days, before you're going to, or a day and a half, and let it go a little further because it'll get more and more tangy the more it sits and ferments with the probiotic in it. And then you just have to taste it and check it out. This one's got a pretty good tang to it. I do want to do a few other things to it before I frost with it. It's actually naturally sweet. That's the cool thing about cashews. You don't have to add a lot of sugar to them. But I am going to add in that coconut sugar paste that I was talking about from Divine Organics. And so I'm just going to, with my hand, or crumble this and work it into there. I don't want it in a hard form. You have to keep it wrapped up in the container when you get it. Do make a note of that because it can crystallize into a very hard form. But if you've kept it moist, like this one is, very easy to break some up. I don't need much. I got about a tablespoon or a tablespoon and a half in there. And then I'm just going to take a whisk and whisk this together. And I'm also going to add one other thing here. I was mentioning earlier to Rachel that I love medicine flour. This also comes from the blossom of the coconut, just like the sweetener that we're using, okay? And so it's the blossom of the vanilla pod, where this is the blossom of the coconut. So these are both blossom products that we're getting out there. And this is a vanilla that is one of the most divine vanillas you'll ever try, but it's clear in color and it's alcohol-free. And it's nice to sweeten with this. It only takes a few drops of it. It does have a brown color, but it's a lighter brown color than an alcohol-free compared to extract that you put in there. So I'm just going to whip that up real quick and get that sweetener throughout it. It's not very hard to do at all. But now you got to put a little bit of a tang in there as well. If your fermentation with your probiotic didn't go quite as far as you want, I'm going to try it here. I think it could use a little bit of a tang more than it
How,
has. So I have an
how do you know if it went as far as you want? Like, what do you want? What are you looking for?
To tell you the truth, I would love to have this sit about 6 hours more, and then it'd be perfect because I know this certain tang that it gets. And
Okay, so you're looking for a tang in the cream cheese
you
frosting.
think about when you take a bite of sour cream or of cream cheese compared
Okay.
to just whipped cream, because they're both dairy, but one has a kind of a zing to it, right? Because it's been fermented. And so cream cheese has that kind of zing to it that whipped cream doesn't, because that's not a fermented product. So that we're doing the same thing by putting that probiotic in and letting it ferment overnight and getting a little bit of a zing to it. But you can add a little edge to it with either apple cider vinegar or some lemon. I'll let you decide which one you want to do on that. Both work just fine. I actually do like to add just a touch of apple cider vinegar. That's a living vinegar, and it's the only kind that I use because I'm all about living foods. I'm not into white, very acidic vinegars. I don't think those are good for us. And I can already tell the smell that comes off of it just by adding that tiny bit of vinegar changed the flavor profile of it. Perfect. Now it's just a little bit of sweetness with that coconut sugar paste. But that could have been a dash of maple syrup if you didn't have coconut sugar paste. Just trying to show you options here. Then we can bring these back over and just put some of this frosting on top of each one of these. And what I would do with these is put them in the fridge once you've frosted all of them up. And because they're going to set up, the frosting will get even thicker when it's in the fridge. And then when you go to pop it up and out of there and serve them later on a platter, they will be easy to pop out of there. And the frosting will be a perfect cap on the top of each one of them. I might try to pop one of them up just so you can see here what it looks like. It might get a little sloppy because the frosting won't be totally thickened, but it might work just fine. But that's what I do to create my... And then I actually like to take a little extra when I'm serving them of the coconut and sprinkle that right on top of each one. It just makes them look beautiful. And there's coconut in the cake part anyway, so it's right in keeping with the entire dessert. And you take this pan, and the way you serve these is just pop up the bottom. There we go. And there's your little mini carrot cake with the frosting on top. Boom.
Wow, that looks awesome.
And
That
the
looks
going to run
tasty.
down the side a little bit, but even who cares, because it still looks beautiful. But see how quick and easy that was?
That was quick, easy.
Simple, easy. This doesn't take that long to do, and it's very elegant. People will love this at a dinner party. I guarantee you they will be oohing and awing about your little carrot cake bites.
I love how you talk about the divinity of the food and how beautiful it is. We have a question in the chat here. That was awesome, Chef James. All right, so we got a question. Let me put me back on here. It says, can you show us the Vanilla Blossom bottle again?
Yes, right here. And it is called Medicine Flower is the company. Whoops, there. Medicine Flower. And
that was a lovely demo.
Website, thanks, is medicineflower.com. I figured that was it. And I have found their products on Amazon as well. And it's really fun to go in and look at the different flavors of these organic things, like their black walnut they have. Super good. They, all kinds of different interesting things to play around with in dessert making. And they're non-GMO, they're high quality. And a lot of times they do come out of the blossom of the plant where they're getting the flavor from, which is fascinating. It's just a very interesting company. I like it.
Love it. That looks good. I
Yeah.
love it. So Chef James and I both created a raw, vegan, quick and easy dessert that will impress your friends that
Yep.
will taste divine, super delicious. We learned a ton about, well, or we can look at it two ways, and you choose the perspective. Chef James ruined agave, which is cool because we don't want that junk anyways. And
Right.
also the lazy date process, or we could look at it as like, wow, I'm so glad that I gained the knowledge and now I get to make better choices. I
Yeah.
choose the second.
There
I
you
don't
go.
want to use
Check
agave.
you. Stay away from agave. You got
I'm
it.
never going to use agave again. All right, I want to cut into these. Even though I know I'm about to give these to the neighbors, I just felt like I don't even want to give them agave. That's mean. All right, I'm going to cut into these brownies here. So, oops, let me not get too wild. You can, usually I make these in a 9 by 9, and I'm going to make myself bigger on this. I usually do these in a 9 by 9. They're not as beautiful. So listen, Chef James is a trained culinary chef. Rachel Detroit is a life coach, and I'll help you get your life together. So my brownies, we're just young, wild, and free over here. Let's cut into one of these, and I'll show you what it looks like. I usually like to make it in a 9 by 9. But since I've moved from Detroit, I don't know where my 9 by 9 dishes are. So we just put it in this big old thing. So I'll show you this brownie. Ooh, my hands are filthy. Awesome. They taste good when you
Great.
freeze them.
Yum.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm-mm-mm.
I'm sure it's great.
Super good. Vegan health bundle. Sweetened with, it's pretty, I didn't even put sweetener in the top because it was agave and I don't want to use that anymore. So it's just dates, nuts, vanilla, cinnamon, avocado, and that's it.
Yeah. Sometimes the best ones are very simple. You know,
Hmm.
there's something to the simplicity of all of this that I love because I want to make food accessible and easy for people that have busy lives that want to live more healthy, you know? So
And that's what I'm all about too.
I'm going to take a bite of this one also so I can try it right here and just see.
I'm going to zoom in on you eating it. People love to watch people eat.
And
Or
yeah, this is Amanda
let's see.
Six recipe from the cookbook in the bundle about desserts. Simply Sweet, I believe it's called, or some.
Yep,
I don't
simply
have it up
sweet.
on the screen anymore, but something like that. I think that's the title of it. They look beautiful. Look at that yummy little carrot cake there.
Mm,
Cream cheese frosting made from cashews. I don't use cashews all the time, but for this kind of frosting, they're perfect. Mmm,
looks awesome.
so
Can you show
good.
us the inside?
Yes, there's the inside.
Mm,
You can see it has great texture all through it. Little bits of date in there, little bits of the dried pineapple, little bits of apple, little bits of carrot, and coconut, all in a perfect blend from the Cuisinart. So they're just in that perfect suspension and cake-like state in there that just works perfectly.
love it.
So, and this is a guilt-free dessert. You
Until you eat 6, but
know?
still don't have guilt because guilt doesn't help anybody.
Right, right,
It's
right.
never helped me.
No, no, it's not a good thing. Step away from that. Eat good food with intention, with a smile on your face, with your friends. You know, this is good food.
Love it. So if you're curious about the vegan health bundle, it's only on sale for 48 more, less than 48 hours. The link is in both of our bios, um, or in the show notes. You can find them there. Chef James and myself have contributions. It's a super lovely bundle.
Yep.
Do you want to share any information before we kind of wrap it up?
I
Any
just
info about you, where to find you?
you'll regret it if you don't get this. And if you know someone that has it, you'll be going, "Oh, I'm so jealous. Why did I not just spend $49? You could go out to eat and spend $49 easily in one night, and you have a 2-year adventure at least in what you can explore in this bundle in every aspect of living a full spectrum healthy life, from exercise to lectures to the information you're seeking and want to know about how healthy it is from well-trained doctors in the field, to the celebrity chefs and just food bloggers that have become known very well because they've come up with some great stuff and food, but really great recipes throughout, probably over 1,000 recipes, I'm sure, throughout this thing. So many, it will take you a long time to get through. It's worth it. So take the dive into optimal health in 2024 for $49. And remember, you can buy it for a friend, put their email address in, and start gifting it out to other people. Once you go in and click the link in either my bio or under this and check it out. It doesn't hurt to just click the link. That doesn't mean you have to buy, but once you go in there, you're going to be so intrigued, you will. So do it by the end of the day tomorrow, Sunday, or you're going to miss out.
And Lydia says the bundle is amazing. People are digging it. There's a ton of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Get it before it's gone.
It's
all right.
a beautiful thing.
All right. Well, so this was awesome. If you guys are looking to tune in tomorrow, I'm going to be going live a few more times at 10 a.m. and then I sent the email out that said all the times, but 10 a.m., I think 11 a.m., and then I think 2 p.m., and then this is all Eastern time, and then 6 o'clock is going to be a fun one because my mom and my aunt from Lebanon are going to be on with me, and we're going to be talking about my plant-based Lebanese course while I'm cooking Lebanese food. My mom, I might be able to persuade my mom to cook something too. So it's going to be a really fun time. Let's see, we had a question. Oh, so join in and join my mailing list, RachelDetroitCoaching.com, if you want reminders. Do you have a mailing list, Chef Jins? You want
to? Just go to plantfoodculinary.com. They can sign up for all my notifications on anything I have.
Cool. So, yeah. So check out his plant food
on my website, plantfoodculinary.com.
Plantfoodculinary.com. We have one more question. Which ebooks are these recipes from? His was from,
Amanda,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Amanda 6, I think it's Simply Sweet in there, and it's wonderful, whole food, plant-based, sugar-free, gluten-free recipes. And this is only one of many. It's really fantastic. I'm actually going to be referring back to that for some of the catering gigs I have for yoga retreats that are coming up, because she's got a wonderful array of bliss balls in there. And they love healthy, sugar-free bliss balls at yoga retreats for little refueling snacks. So I'll be looking up this cookbook just for that. And I've got one coming up this next month. So I will definitely be making some of those. So that's the cookbook that this carrot cake was from.
Get your bliss balls. And mine's from Super Simple Raw by Rachel Detroit. Sorry, I made my own recipe.
That's great.
All right.
That's
I strongly believe in everything that I do. So if you're looking for coaching, I'm looking for you.
This wonderful miso soup was from what is her name? Julia.
Chef Julia.
Great book on Asian stuff. And I have to tell you, I do a lot of miso soup, but her little tips and tricks took this to a gourmet level. I put in wild harvested black trumpet mushrooms that I got out of the woods here and used all of my own seaweed that I harvest from the ocean for the seaweed parts of it. So that was my only twist to it, but all the rest of it was her recipe from her contribution, that Asian cookbook that she has in there. So there's just so many great things in this thing. It's just amazing.
Your camera went sideways for some reason.
Oh, that's weird. Why did it do that?
You're sideways all of a sudden.
It's up on a stand, so it's like, why would it turn?
That's really peculiar. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Check out what's coming up tomorrow. If you didn't get the bundle, get it. Link in bios, link in show notes. And if you're looking for coaching, I'm looking for you. I am ready to go. I know that you are too. So fill out a form for a free consult if you want one. Awesome. All right. That's all from us.
Good. Get the bundle.
Get the bundle.